as 75, 80%. So you reduce the amount of emissions from the energy consumed by 80%. So you're doing a little part to reduce carbon footprint for your home or your office and to save the environment. So that's another benefit as well. There are indirect benefits, especially for the Caribbean. A lot of the people in the Caribbean, utilities use diesel. Okay, so when you reduce the energy from using the LED bulbs, what you're doing is reducing the consumption of diesel. Okay, foreign exchange is a huge problem. Getting enough foreign exchange is a huge problem for all the islands in the Caribbean. And you use LED bulbs, reduce the amount of diesel used. The country now spends less money on buying, on foreign exchange, on getting diesel, and what that transmit to, they have more money to put into healthcare, education for the people, the consumers. So there's an indirect benefit for the consumers as well. There's another benefit as well for commercial buildings and schools in particular. LED bulbs, they comes in, you have to select what type you like. We call it the color temperature. So if you go and buy a LED bulb in the supermarket or the store, you'll see they tell you warm light, which is 2,700 Kelvin, up to daylight, which is 6,000 Kelvin. Now, the warm light is the one that you're accustomed to with the incandescents. It's nice for your home, for lobbies, to bring out the color in clothes and fruits and stuff like that in a supermarket. Okay, but the daylight, the one is at 6,000 Kelvin, is good for, it's bright, it's like a bright light. It's good for productivity. Recently, we, in a large building in Trinidad, we retrofitted the light, the LED bulbs, the tubes, fluorescent tubes, and the ones they had before were like more like a warm light. It was kind of dark and dull in the office, and when we switched the LEDs, it was very nice and open up, and everybody was so impressed by it. The productivity, I'm sure, improved. So that's another benefit of these bulbs. Okay.
Wow. That's fantastic. Not only are there direct consumer benefits, but also certainly the indirect benefits. And yes, coming off of COP26, just wanting to make sure that we're all playing our part is so, so important. So yeah. I know you said that it saves us money, but really, how much money are we talking about? Can switching out my lighting truly impact my electricity bill?
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, I call it a no-brainer, and I think a lot of the people in the Caribbean have adopted that, because I've done many audits throughout the region, and I've seen LED bulbs now in most places. You know, so people have come to accept that LED bulb is a no-brainer. The payback actually varies based on the cost of energy in the island. Now we have a number of islands in the Caribbean. The lowest cost energy is 6 cents per US cents per kilowatt hour in Trinidad, where I am from. But even that, it's a no-brainer in Trinidad, because the payback is about 6 months, half a year. Right? It depends on if you're using the light inside or outside. If you use it outside, it might be 12 hours a day. If you use it inside, maybe 4 or 5 hours a day. But still, the payback is 6 months is fantastic. In the other islands, it really is a no-brainer. You mentioned less than 2 months. Some areas, 1 month payback, because of the high cost of energy, which could be as 25 to 45 US cents per kilowatt hour. So that is a standard. Everybody who's not using LED bulbs, I don't want to say we need to be checked out, but definitely is a no-brainer. You definitely have to have, it's something that is done, that is automatic. You know, you need to use LED bulbs, definitely. And you save money easily, quickly. The other good thing about the LED bulbs too is the life, right? The lifespan. Incandescent bulb might be 2,000 hours or so. The compact fluorescence was about 8,000, but the LED bulbs can go between 25 to 40,000 hours of life. Okay, so you put in a bulb there, you have the payback. You don't only look at the payback in terms of the immediate savings, but you probably need about let's say 30,000 divided by 2, 15 incandescent bulbs over the lifespan of an LED bulb. So you have to be changing bulbs 15 times to meet the one LED bulb you put into your home. And I know for a fact that I've had mothers' homes, where single mothers come to me and said, "Listen, the bulb outside my yard I have to change it every so often, the incandescent bulb. Um, I want to put those LED bulbs because I can't climb up there every couple months, to change a LED incandescent bulb. So the LED bulbs will last a lot longer. So it have other benefits besides saving energy as well. Yeah.
Wow. Certainly not having to climb onto a ladder 15 times versus one is definitely something to consider. I love that you mentioned the high cost of electricity throughout our region, because within CARICOM, about 90% of our electricity is produced via fossil fuels. So the use of energy efficient lighting will truly help reduce demands on increasingly strained national energy grids. So you kind of touched on this, but if you could elaborate just a little more for our audience, how does the switch to LED exactly support this idea of increased energy efficiency?
Okay. So let's say incandescent bulb might be 60 watts. Okay. The LED will probably be between 8 and 10 watts. Right. So that's a difference about nearly 80% savings. Okay. So maybe you might use a certain amount of diesel to produce the energy to produce a 60-watt incandescent bulb, whereas you use 80% less diesel if you use an LED bulb. So you're saving diesel. And it's not just the saving on the fuel itself, the generators too have to be maintained. So the more they operate, they get to produce more, it's more money spent. So it's a no-brainer. It's really a natural thing for the governments to encourage their citizens to switch to LEDs because the fuel savings and right now foreign is so hard to get. The amount of fuel you save is fantastic, and the government can take that money and put it to healthcare. The pandemic is on right now. We need money for healthcare, right? Or put it into education and stuff like that. So really and truly, every citizen in the CARICOM region will be doing their part for themselves and the country by switching to LED bulbs. Definitely.
So certainly you mentioned one stakeholder that is invested in this transition to LEDs, the government. How would you say that we can better accelerate this market transition to LEDs, given the multitude of benefits that you mentioned to both people and the planet?
Yeah. Okay. That's a nice question. Thanks. I think a lot of governments have started doing things as well. So there are some incentives. So one of the things is they put duty free and even VAT or GCT free for importing of LED bulbs into the islands. So I've seen a lot of islands have that. So it's a very good incentive. Okay. But really and truly, even if you have that 2 months payback, 1 month payback, it's really a no-brainer. I don't think governments need to do anything for people to do it, but still they do. They do, right? There should be a disincentives as well. A disincentive could be totally raising the import duty on an incandescent, because incandescents are very cheap. They're like about 50 cents or so, where LED could be
Right.
maybe about $4 or $5, depending on which island you're in. But the payback is so fast, it's unbelievable. So if they really want people to accelerate it, maybe they put a disincentive, raise the import duty on incandescents, or probably just eliminate it in total. Okay. The other thing they can do as well, there are two other things I think. I think awareness training is important for the schools. Have training programs for the children in the schools, okay, and secondary schools and primary schools, so they grow up knowing the benefits of the impact of energy on the society and how LED bulbs can help. So training is important. And the fourth way I think is the utilities. Now that's a difficult one because a lot of utilities are monopolies. A lot of them are owned by have to have a guaranteed certain return on the investment. But normally, what could happen is the utilities could finance the installation of these LED bulbs for people and take the cost back of the bulb back out on the bill, electricity bill. So let's say in a region, a utility comes and say, okay, I will install bulbs for you, okay, at no cost to you, and I'll take you pay back for it in your bill, monthly bill, and that way people won't have to be out of pocket to put out the initial capital to buy the bulbs, and they get all the bulbs installed and then the utility gets back their money through the bills. And that's a nice way that I came across one or two utilities in the region using that at one time. Another, the fifth way I've seen is in Trinidad last a couple of years ago. What they did, they actually gave away bulbs for each household, 4 bulbs, LED bulbs. And I think Jamaica did something as well. They got some bulbs from, I'm not sure which, I'm not sure if it's Cuba, and they just installed bulbs because they saw the benefit is so important of LED bulbs. So those kind of programs, I think, could help accelerate the adoption of LEDs into the region. Yeah. But I think the region is well on its way to do that. Everybody kind of understand now that it really is a no-brainer. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, certainly, as we move from dependence to resilience as a region, this idea of energy efficiency and energy efficient lighting is so important and critical to that transition. One thing that you mentioned that I just want to highlight is that idea of energy equity and energy justice. As you talked about the utility as a stakeholder, kind of taking that upfront cost so that there's less of a burden on the consumer. That's a fantastic idea. Your idea about youth awareness and consumer awareness programs, again, a really fantastic idea as we think about ways that we can help to accelerate this market transition to LED. And unfortunately, this brings us to the end of this 15-minute conversation. I had a great time talking with you, and I learned so much about LED efficiency, LED lighting, and overall cost savings to the consumer for the CARICOM region. So thank you so much for your time today, Andre. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here, Azal, and my pleasure to be here. Thank you. Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.